I know I'm live, but hold on one second. All righty. And we're popping. What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. And once again, I am here. So you know that can only mean one thing. And I'm pretty sure you know what it means. It means that the Motor City Cats, we back at it. We came to give you stats, none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Um, the Detroit Lions have wrapped it up at the owners' meetings. It is all done. It's all done but the crying. I think that's what the saying is. I'm not exactly sure if that's the saying or not, but I think that's what it is. So I'm gonna go with it. It's all done but the crying. It's all over with. The NFL has proposed or has passed a new rule for overtime that will allow everyone to possess the football. Excuse me. Woo. Um, in the overtime period. So obviously it was the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type of rule where you just dumb luck. You get the coin flip, you lose the coin flip, and that's not even the strength of your team. If you're the Buffalo Bills, the defense is not the strength of your team. The strength of your team is Josh Allen, his arm, and his legs. That's the strength of your team. So when you went up there, and you played Kansas City, and you didn't have the opportunity to get the strength of your team back on the field, well, this has been a long time coming. So that is that. I'm not sure if they moved the kickoffs or the touchbacks out to the 35-yard line. Listen, if you're talking about player safety, right? And you're telling me that the kickoff return is one of the most dangerous plays in football. And then now you're like, well, listen, if y'all don't want to return this football, we going to penalize you. Okay? If y'all don't want these people returning the football, we're going to penalize you. You want to kick them? You want to pin them in to the end zone? That's fine. Bring it out to the 35. It's all good. You can do what you want to do, okay? But you ain't finna sit up here and deprive us of all this excitement. God damn it. Okay? So go ahead. You can bring it out to the 35. Okay? Yep, so they moved it to the 35. And that was the point. Okay? It's not about player safety, it's about excitement. It's about entertainment. Okay? Shout out to me. I did manage to register yesterday for the Los Angeles Rams versus whoever the hell they're going to be playing at the Melbourne Cricket Grounds, which really is about 30 minutes away from my house. So I was able to get registered for tickets. I wasn't able to do it the first time. There was something wrong with their system. They sent me an email yesterday. I tried it again, and I got it. So I will, I guess, be fast-tracked to be able to get the tickets. I don't know how much the tickets are going to cost. I doubt that they will be very expensive, because the point of having a game here is to grow the game. The point is not to make money. They're going to make money off the back end of that by selling merchandise and all these other things and getting these people more interested in the game down under. So yes, I do plan to be there. I know it is over a year away, and I don't even know when it's going to be happening. But I do plan to be there. Unfortunately, unless it happens early on in the season, yes, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot for me. But I'm planning to be there, getting content, maybe interviewing some of the Australian fans and things of that nature. So it'll be a look behind the curtain that no one else will be able to get, because there are no other NFL creators out here. But then there might be some that pop up. I don't know if I'm gonna be trying to collab with any of them, because it is what it is. They ain't from the D like me. But Yeah, so excited about that opportunity, and we will monitor it as it gets closer, and I will be talking to you guys about what's going to happen. Um, David Lyon says, if I had a passport, I'd come with you. Brother, you've got time. Okay. Now, I don't know these circumstances now. Okay. But I know you got time to get you a passport. It don't take nothing but a couple weeks. Um, yeah, you said you might have one by then. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be 2026. It's not going to be this coming season. It'll be 2026. So, yes, for sure. We're going to have that coming. Once again, I am trying to come back to the States late August, trying to catch the tail end of training camp and trying to catch at least one preseason game at Ford Field. So I'm not sure exactly what the travel arrangements will be for that. But obviously, once they release the schedule and everything, then I'll know when I can come back and what I'll be doing then. All right, so I'll meet up with some of you guys and all of that, and we'll hang out. Definitely gotta go get some of them lemon pepper wings. Um, so hitting up Buffalo Wild Wings, definitely trying to hit up Red Lobster because your boy with the snow crab. It is what it is. All right, let's talk about what we came here to talk about. The Detroit Lions have wrapped up the owners' meetings. There were a lot of sound bites that came out from the owners' meetings. One particular thing that I addressed yesterday, and I didn't address much else, was the situation with what Brad Holmes said specifically about the defensive line. And some people were feeling that I was crashing out prematurely. And just to explain, it's not crashing out prematurely. It's exactly the nightmare scenario that I predicted. If we don't address the edge in free agency, there's just going to be all this anxiety. Okay, there's going to be all of this. What's going to happen? Will he? Won't he? Okay, so when he says, "Oh yeah," no position is going to be neglected. I mean, we still going to address it. That don't give me too much confidence that he's going to be addressing it with the first pick. Now, it also could be a bit of a smokescreen as he wants to hold his cards close to the vest, and he doesn't want to reveal his draft strategy and what he's going to be doing. So that was basically it. That was the reason I was crashing out, because now we have to wait until the draft to have somebody, unless Cash Dollars over there doing what she's supposed to do. What up, the salty pork chops? And is recruiting Zadarius Smith, okay, and getting him to sign a contract, which is lesser than what he was going to get, which is why they cut him. We just got to wait and see, take a wait and see approach. And I just got a lot of anxiety about that. I'm just telling you the truth. It's not that I don't trust Brad Holmes. It's not that. So here's the thing. Sometimes when you question the moves of Brad Holmes, people, it's the same thing with Jared Goff. If you tell people that he had 4 turnovers in the playoff game, and that was a very, very big contributor to us losing, is nah. Goff didn't have nothing to do with that. It was all the injuries. Okay, that's fine. All right. So if you say that Brad Holmes needs to address the edge, it's like, yeah, but we went 15-2 last season. Okay, we also didn't win the Super Bowl ever. We also didn't go to the Super Bowl ever. And this is what we all want as a franchise. This is as a fan base. This is all we're trying to say. So, yes, it's fair to question Brad Holmes and his ability to, not his ability, his attention to the defensive line. That's all we're doing. Okay? That's all we're doing. I mean, Rod Wood sat down with Dan Miller, okay? And he had an interview. It was about 5 minutes. So he talked about a number of things. He talked about how they are committed to signing their own guys, re-signing their own guys in free agency, and how he knows that it doesn't get them a whole lot of fanfare and press in the offseason. But, we draft so well and blah, 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 blah. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. I don't give a damn about Trey Hendrickson. I don't give a damn about Myles Garrett. As long as you go into the draft and you get me Shamar Stewart. We'll talk about him in a second. You get me Mike Green. You get me James Pierce. Okay? You get me Jalen Carter. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm happy with Jahmyr Gibbs, but you didn't get me Jalen Carter. Okay? So you get me these people in the draft, and I'm fine. I don't have anything to say. I have nothing to say. Okay? And that's all we're saying. So he goes, name me a team that has, all these top edge rushers, and most teams don't have two, and some of them only have one. We're fortunate to have one because some of them don't have any, and that's cool. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that this roster sucks and you need to put all your eggs in the edge basket. We're saying that this roster is so damn good. We just need that one piece to solidify the edge, and it's not Marcus Davenport. I'm sorry. Okay? I know. I say it every day, but it's not. I want him to be healthy. 100%. I hope he gets every cent of that $4.75 million that he has signed for in the incentive-laden contract. He's not getting $4.75 million. It is up to $4.75 million. And I can guarantee you, him getting that $4.75 million has a lot to do with his ability to play in games. Okay? Has a lot to do with his ability to play in games. So that is all that we want to see. Now, if Marcus Davenport stays healthy, which is what Dan Campbell said, okay? If Marcus Davenport stays healthy, he's going to be a hell of a player for us. That's awesome. I love the if, because that's the only thing that we have to go on. We don't have anything else but the if. Okay? Right? If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. They say if was sunshine and rainbows, we would have a wonderful day. Okay, whatever you want to say about if. Okay, but the thing about if is it is contingent on something that either has a not it has a low percentage of happening, or it's just up in the air. Okay, if I win the lottery tomorrow, which has a 0% chance of happening because I don't play the lottery. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm just giving you the example. Okay? Now, you can take someone who has played the lottery every day for 30 years and has never won it, and you can say, if such and such wins the lottery tomorrow, she's going to buy her whole family a mansion in Auburn Hills. What's the likelihood of it happening? It's not likely at all because she's been playing for 30 years and she hasn't won. What is the likelihood of Marcus Davenport staying healthy for an entire season? It's not likely at all because he's never done it. Okay, now there's just varying degrees of him being healthy for however many games. That's what you're looking at. His healthiest season was 15 games. I'll take that. I'll take him only missing 2 games. No problem, especially since he missed 15 last season. I'll take 2. All right. So this is why. This is the reason. You get into, we're good with our guys. We're heavy on the defensive line, actually. And then now we're putting all our eggs back in the Marcus Davenport basket. That's all. That was the reason that I crashed out. Kane Press says, let's not get on Detroit men. Why are we talking about men? We don't talk about men. Okay. Oh, okay, press. She always tries to pause. By the way, pause. All right. Um. So let's move on from the topic of why I crashed out about defensive line in its current state. Um. Shout out to my guy Kurt Steele. I was supposed to do something this morning and I didn't do it. Uh. So I'm gonna have to do it. Basically, Kurt Steele, he's a member of LNU, like myself. Um, so what I'm gonna say is he put in a video. He did a video yesterday, and he gave Brad Holmes a grade for his offseason. So he asked us to put our grades in there, and like I said, I didn't do it, so I need to do that. I'm gonna tell you my grade right here and right now, and I'll tell you why it is the way it is. We go back to what Rod Wood said about re-signing our own guys, and that's 100% accurate. Our roster took us to 15-2. We had a lot of attrition. We had a lot of injuries, but we still were a 15-2 team. We were the number one seed in the NFC. But then when we got to the playoffs, as Dan Campbell said, we played poorly at the worst time. Okay. So any of you guys that are like, oh, it wasn't Goff and Goff didn't have anything to do with it, your own coach said we played poorly at the worst time. He didn't say Jared Goff. We all played poorly except for Jared Goff. That's not what he said. When you have 5 turnovers, you have to look at the guys that are wearing the uniform that you're wearing. Okay? When you have 5 turnovers, you have to look at the coaches who are calling the plays wearing the same colors as you. When you have 5 turnovers in a divisional round playoff game that you comfortably would have won had you not turned the ball over, you have to look inwardly. Okay? So whoever was responsible for the turnovers was responsible for the turnovers. And largely the turnovers are the thing that got us out of the playoffs. So Dan Campbell, your head coach, said that we played poorly at the worst possible time. Why was it the worst possible time? Because that is the time where when you lose, you go home. You survive and advance. If you don't survive, you don't advance. There is no another game. This is not basketball. This is not baseball. This is not hockey. Okay? This is football. You get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better. All right. Anyway, you know what it is. You get one shot. Okay? Do not miss your chance to blow. Because this is the NFL and the NFL playoffs, one and done. So when you have a roster that can get you that type of what would you call success, right? Winning your division, winning, getting the number one seed, having a legitimate shot to represent your conference in the Super Bowl, being picked by Vegas to represent your conference in the Super Bowl, and understanding that Chiefs team that showed up in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles, had you gotten past the Philadelphia Eagles, you're probably hoisting the Lombardi. Detroit Lions, had you gotten past the Washington Commanders, and then were somehow able to get past the Philadelphia Eagles, who would have had to come to Detroit, right? Had you gotten past those two NFC East teams, you probably would have been hoisting the Lombardi, because the Chiefs did not look impressive. Regardless of what was happening on the offensive versus the defensive line, Patrick Mahomes not having any time, all these other things, their defense wasn't looking fantastic either, right? The Chiefs played their worst game at the worst possible time. Okay? The Chiefs played their worst game at the worst possible time. And that's what happens sometimes. That's the difference between winning and losing. This game It's about inches. That's the difference between winning and losing, between living and dying. So I want you to look at the man next to you and tell him. Okay, so if y'all don't know that speech, you know who doesn't know that speech? Easy and Spinmo Racks, because they haven't seen it. They have not. And if you guys love these dudes, Easy and Spinmo Racks, get on them. Let them know that they need to go ahead and watch Any Given Sunday. So again, sidetrack. Getting this group of players, getting these guys back under contract was huge. This is why I'm giving Brad Holmes a B for the offseason. So far, if you get an edge in the draft in the first round, if you get one of these guys that we've fallen in love with, if you get a Jihad Campbell, who's a linebacker who I'm absolutely in love with, pause. If you get a Shamar Stewart, if you get a James Pierce Jr., if you get a Donovan Azaraku, if you get any of these guys that we've fallen in love with as we started to evaluate them, then I'm gonna give you an A+. You knocked it out of the park. Especially if you trade up to get somebody like a Mike Green. And you're going to pair Aiden Hutchinson with Mike Green. Especially if you do that, I'm going to give you an A+. Now he has a B. And it's not a B because you didn't sign, you didn't trade for Trey Hendrickson. Nobody was able to trade for Myles Garrett. People tried. People were on the phone constantly. No one was able to do it. It just wasn't available. Okay? So that would be my grade for now. I have zero problems with you re-signing all the guys that you needed to re-sign because you needed to re-sign them. I don't care that, okay, yes. And kudos to Brad for getting in as what he called pretty much the floor price and getting DJ Reed. Okay, kudos to him for replacing Carlton Davis right away. Okay, now my question is, and I question this, was an extra $12 million over the life of the deal really going to be the thing that didn't allow you to, like, okay, I'm going to extend Hutch and Kirby, but I can't get J-Mo because there's this extra $4 million per that's going to Carlton Davis? Well, with the way that my bank account is set up, I got the check-ins and the savings, right? I don't think that an extra $4 million would have been the thing that was going to be the deal breaker for getting a J-Mo contract extension. But that's just me. If you complete this offseason with an edge rusher or two, if you go into the season and you remain relatively healthy throughout the season, okay, or you get healthy when it counts, right? You get some injuries early and then you're back in the saddle by the time the playoff push comes. You get into the playoffs, you go in hot, and then you can run the table and win the whole thing. But if you don't address the edge in the draft, if you wait till round 3 or 4 or 5, and you lose games to the Baltimore Ravens because you couldn't get Lamar Jackson on the ground, and you lose games to the Philadelphia Eagles because you couldn't get Jalen Hurts on the ground, and you lose games to the Kansas City Chiefs because you couldn't get Patrick Mahomes on the ground, and then you lose games to the Green Bay Packers because you couldn't get Jordan Love on the ground, and you lose games to the Chicago Bears because you couldn't get Caleb Williams on the ground, then your offseason grade at the end of next season has to be an F. So right now, tenuously, it's a B. It's not finished yet. They've still got more to go. As Dan Campbell said, tenuously, it's a B. All right. Here's Johnny says, my man, what's your name again? Supersonic DC8182 Bill P. Love you, man. Oh, my bad. He told me not to read it. Playing that tune right now in your honor. I was a descendant of Sir Robin Hood of Wales per DNA tests, where they were looking for people like me. W as supersonic. All right. Or do hereby W as supersonic. All right, that's cool, man. That's cool. So anyway, this is the grading process for Brad Holmes. All right. There's some other things that were said that I didn't get to yesterday. Dan Campbell addressed what it would be like to go forward without Osama bin Johnson and without Aaron Glenn. So what he said about this was, number one, it's fresh and new, so it's exciting, right? So there's a level of excitement. You know, you do the same thing over and over again, and you do it well. Frank the Tank says A plus. Now Frank the Tank, why is it an A plus? I'll address that with you. So there was there's the not fear of the unknown, but there's the embracing of the unknown, right? He talked about how Johnny Mo was very important. It was very important to get him back in the building because he knows him. Okay. He's worked with him multiple times. He knows what he does. He knows what he likes. He knows his philosophy. David Shaw was a guy who was going to cover his blind spot, so he was there. It was very, very important to get him. So he said that was an underrated signing. And obviously he talked about how Shep was, hey, he's ready for the challenge. Everybody knows Shep. Shep is brilliant, super smart. He's going to hold everybody accountable. He's already started just going through the cut-ups and figuring out, okay, this is something that I like. This is something I didn't like. I want to do this differently, so on and so forth. But the main takeaway for this was that he said our offense, when you talk about, okay, you lost Ben Johnson, he said this is the Detroit Lions offense, right? Not necessarily a Ben Johnson offense. So he said our offense is Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. It's Frank Ragnow. It's Taylor Decker. It's J-Mo. It's David Montgomery. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is our offense. They are our playbook, right? He said our defense is Kirby. It's Brian Branch. It's Hutch. It's Aleem. It's DJ Reed, okay? Now DJ Reed, right? DJ Reader before that. So these are the guys. And he said I can go on and on. Derek Barnes, okay? I think he mentioned, I don't think he mentioned Davenport because I had to spit out my coffee. Again, mentioning Marcus Davenport as a commodity, that's it. I don't want to poop on the man. Okay? It's very perplexing to me. It's very perplexing that we have these players that are constantly injured and we have a certain level of faith in them. Faith in the human being has to be separated from faith in the player. You know, Marcus Davenport, bro, and when he gets up in the morning, he looks at his kids and he goes out to work and he's ready to support them and run through a wall for them. And he know his responsibility as a father is what drives him. And that's fantastic. And I'm not trying to disparage that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And if Marcus Davenport, just the same as Emmanuel Mosley, he was an immense asset in the locker room, and I hoped that he would come back as a coach. Because sometimes your body gives up. Sometimes your body can't do it. Sometimes it just breaks down. And when your body breaks down, what you have left is who you are as a person because you don't have it as a player anymore. And I hope Marcus Davenport is not to that point where he doesn't have it as a player anymore because his body has betrayed him. I hope that's not the case. And I hope he does make a full recovery and he's 100% able to contribute to this team. I hope that that is the case. However, as I continue to say, I just can't buy into it until I see it on a consistent basis. Okay. So this is, I don't, like I said, I don't know if he said Marcus Davenport, but this is what he was saying, that yes, we do have new coaches and everything, but we still have the players. Okay. Ben didn't take people to Chicago, not players. AG didn't take players to New York. Okay. So, our core, and this is what Rod Wood was saying. He was like, we're going to do our best to re-sign our core, not to re-sign, but to extend our core, right? And keep them all together. He did mention JMO as a core piece because there's a lot of speculation out there. Okay. We're just going to get into it. We'll get into the JMO side of things. Y'all know that I am the keeper of the JMO. And I know that Brad Holmes, because I didn't get to this yesterday because I was busy crashing out. Brad Holmes did say that when you look at a position like receiver, it does get expensive. And I understand that the position of receiver gets expensive. But here's the other thing that I understand. Okay? And I've said this before, so forgive me if you've heard it. I went back before and I looked at the roster. And I looked at some of the names that we had here after the departure of Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson could do everything that Amon-Ra St. Brown can do. He could do everything that JMO can do. He could do everything that any of the receivers that you can think of could do. That's why Calvin Johnson, at 6'5", 240 pounds, was named Megatron. And he went to the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. 5 years after he, which was, I think, this past year, 5 years after he retired, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. After his departure, the names that we had in here, the inability to stretch the field. We're like, man, we just need somebody to stretch the field, bro. Man, can we just get somebody that runs faster than a 4.5? Man, can we get somebody to take the top off the defense? Man. That's what we talked about until we got JMO. Until we got JMO, this is what we talked about. This offense is missing an element of being able to stretch the field, take the tops off of defenses, make people pay. You can't come down in the box just to stop the run. Because if you come down in the box just to stop the run, guess what? JMO's going to go over your head for 70 yards. But before JMO, after Calvin, there was no one to do that for you. I mean, look, like, remember Brashad Perryman? remember when we thought he was going to do that for us? Oh, he's fast. Do y'all want to go back to that? Do y'all want to go back to that? That's my thing. Anybody that disparages JMO or doesn't think that JMO should be on the team or will be on the team going forward, do y'all want to go back to those times? I know it's expensive. 100%. And Rod Wood said, Okay, because again, we are pulling from the owners' meetings, and we're talking about the sound that we got from there. Rod Wood said that basically drafting, as well as we've been drafting, has changed the way that they look at things. Before this, they weren't looking at second contracts for guys because when you're drafting poorly, you're not thinking about re-signing anyone. Okay, now they didn't always draft poorly. Sometimes they just didn't have the right coaching in place. So when you're drafting poorly or not, and then you also don't have the right coaching in place, look at Kyle Van Noy. We couldn't find a place for Kyle Van Noy. We couldn't figure out what to do with him. But he went elsewhere and flourished everywhere else that he went. He went to New England. He did his thing there. I think he went to Miami after that, did his thing there. Then he went to the Baltimore Ravens. Is currently doing his thing. He was one of the few people that passed Hutch in sacks last season. Right? And he was on pace to be the league leader in sacks. This Kyle Van Noy. This is the guy that we drafted. So it wasn't always about not drafting well. It was also about drafting players but not being able to develop them. So Rod Wood said now the way that we've been drafting, we're looking at the salary cap 3 years down the road. Okay? And what are you projecting for the salary cap 3 years down the road? At least an extra $60 million on the cap. At least an extra $60 million on the cap. Right? So I think there's a very plausible way that you could get JMO done. You've got whatever cap you've got now, plus you've got that $60 million coming over in the next 3 years when he'll be, ready to sign a new contract. Even, if you have to do something like franchise him. I know that the Lions don't like to use the franchise tag, just to get that extra year of salary cap bump. And then you sit him down and you sign him to a long-term extension. So I believe that there is finagling that can be done. I don't think that the job is done just because, hey, the salary cap is what it is this year. It's going up. It's going up by 20 plus million every year. It's like clockwork. It's guaranteed. Okay. Now you got people like Netflix in the mix. You got Amazon Prime. You're getting all of this TV money, right? People are buying ads. Okay. Of course, you get about $20 million just from people buying ads for the Super Bowl. So you've got all this money floating around. I just have a hard time believing that if a team like the Cincinnati Bengals can pay crazy amounts of money to 2 wide receivers, then a team like the Detroit Lions, who have been very frugal, who have been very smart with their money, would not be able to get one of their core pieces done. And here's the thing about J-Mo. Johnny Mo is a big play guy. I think I said this before. Johnny Mo said that the big play is back. He wants to take those shots down the field. Okay? So he's going to open up the middle of that field. And he's going to, again, continue to give problems because this offense has been giving people problems the last few years. It's been high flying. It's been top 3. It's been top 5. So it's going to give people problems. It's going to continue to do so. And now with Johnny Mo coming in and saying, well, I want to take a deep shot. I want to get J-Mo manned up on such and such. Okay? What's that going to do? Just like what we thought it was going to do, and it did do last season when J-Mo emerged. If you're doing it even more, guess what happens? it's going to happen even more this season, where the safety's going to have to cheat over the top, where you're not going to get honest coverage on JMO's side, and that's going to pull people away from coverage over here. So now you got people who are manned up across the board because there's no safety help over the top elsewhere. It's all rolled over. All coverage is rolled to JMO because you know they'll take deep shots. And you know it's not just a decoy. You know he's not just going to lull you to sleep. He's going to run by you and he's going to catch the football if you're not prepared. So I feel like what could happen is that you loosen up the defense even further. Because it's not just a decoy. And you can say what you want to say about Jared Goff's arm or whatever the case may be. He can get the ball down the field, right? He can throw the ball 50 plus yards in the air, so he can get it done. Hutch is Sheila's number one face of the franchise. Sewell's number 2. St. Brown is number 3. Goff is number 4. I think I'd probably have to put Goff at either number 1 or number 2 if we're talking about face of the franchise. A quarterback is always going to be number 1 anyway. So I could understand why it would be Hutch, though. So I think it's probably a toss-up between Goff and Hutch. But I don't think anyone else is in their stratosphere right now as far as representing the team and being the face of the franchise. All right. So that's what's happening with JMO. I there was some mixed signals. What up, though, Zach J? Coming from, I don't think it was mixed signals. I think Brad Holmes was just being honest about the situation. But I think what he was giving was his pathway for JMO to stay on this team. Again, this is a guy that Brad Holmes went up. He gave up draft capital after he selected Hutch in the first round, number 2. He went back up to number 12 to select JMO. So this is not someone that I think that they're just going to discard. Obviously, they put a lot of time and effort into helping him to succeed, okay? To help him become the player that he's become so far. So I have a hard time believing that just because he's a wide receiver, that they're not going to pay him. So I have a hard time believing they won't pay him. You know? All right, what else did we want to get to? Okay. What else we wanted to get to? Dan Campbell was asked about Ennis Rakestraw. Now he was excited about Ennis Rakestraw and all these things, and he expects him to take a big jump in year number 2. He did talk about the injuries. He said that kind of sucked because he was helping us. He was going to the game. He was playing on teams at times. He said there's going to be, opportunities to play and, there's going to be competition. Let me know in the chat what you guys think about Ennis Rakestraw. Did you like the pick? Did you not like the pick? What are your thoughts? What I thought was I saw him being mocked to the Detroit Lions at 24 or wherever we were at 29 or something. So I saw him being mocked there. I didn't like that at all. Getting him at 61, better value. Okay. but he didn't play. And he didn't play for the same reason that I was like, nah, I'm good on him, especially in the first round. He didn't play because of his injury history. When you have to get core muscle surgery and then you have other soft tissue injuries, that's an issue. Okay? That's an issue. When you come into school having to have a core muscle surgery, that's a tough one. Okay? So I was not really in favor of that. The fact that they selected him at 61, which was pretty much the last round in the first round, or the last pick in the second round. Okay, essentially, I like that you got him, but did you need to get him there? Did you have information that he wasn't gonna fall? I mean, that would be a pretty large fall for him to go to bottom of the third. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, so Zach J says, honestly, I was not thrilled about the pick. If I remember correctly, I wanted Braylon Trice. So this is another reason why I believe, and I want to believe, and I'm making myself believe this, that Brad Holmes is going to double up this draft with defensive ends. We didn't pass on Jared Verse, but we didn't do enough to go get him. And then I'm hearing that even if Jared Verse was there at Terrion Arnold's pick, they were still taking Terrion Arnold. That's what I heard. Okay. I heard that even if Terrion Arnold was available and Bruce Irvin, not Bruce Irvin, what's his name? Jared Verse, sorry. And Jared Verse was available, that they would have taken Terrion Arnold. So, yeah, Zach J, I wanted pass rush too. Isn't that funny? We keep wanting pass rush, but we were 15-2. Why do we want pass rush? Why is pass rush important to a team that was 15-2? Right? Because when your detractors will tell you that it's not important. Your detractors will tell you that it's not important because we were 15-2 and it was a successful season. Again, look back at what Rod Wood said. A lot of teams don't even have one pass rusher. So if you're looking to the draft, you've already got one. He said, we've already got one that's going to cost us a lot of money. Well, if you're looking to the draft to get one that you can pair with him, then that 15-2 and number one seed turns into a Super Bowl. So that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Um, so Ennis Rakestraw, we talked about Ennis Rakestraw. We talked about Shep and Johnny Moe. We talked about Brad Holmes saying that the defensive line was kind of top heavy or kind of heavy. Um, Talked about the overtime rule. Was there anything else that I missed? All right. Um, So yeah, the Detroit Lions are just getting ready for the draft. They're doing all the evaluation. They're continuing with the evaluation. They pretty much done in free agency. I touched on yesterday that they that they will not be, or that they could be re-signing Zadarius Smith. They're open to re-signing him. There is no timeline. We don't even know what range of contract they're looking to give, but he could be back. So guys, hold out hope and pray. That's all I can say. Zach J says, quick question. During Campbell's interview, he was asked a question and his answer was, the media gets mad at me when I tell my plans. What was the question he was asked? I did not catch the question. I know what part you're talking about. I was listening to it in my car. The question was kind of obscured, so I did not catch the question he was asked. I wish I did though. I do have the interview on my computer. I could just run through it, but I don't know what mark it was at. But yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can just look up and find it. Hold on. Let me just pull it up right quick. Get up on this. All right. Let's see. We have Dan Campbell. I know y'all can't hear this right now, but here's what I was talking about earlier. I'll play this one.
Because you can play. But that's big for us. That's a part
You can
of
hear
who
this,
we are.
right?
Guys like that. It's one of the reasons we brought in Stewart, too, man. This guy flies under the radar. This guy's an unbelievable special teams player, and he can play defense, too.
Let me know if you can hear it.
And maybe offense.
Dan, a lot of people talk about with Ben leaving, the offense is going to change, but this is a Dan Campbell offense as much as it is a Ben Johnson offense, isn't it?
Well, this is a Detroit line offense, is what it is. And, I mentioned it. I was talking to Dan yesterday. I mentioned this. And here, the nuts and bolts of what we are, man, of course, we got our coaches. Man, this offense is Jared Goff, St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery. It's Frank, it's Sewell, it's Decker, I can keep going, it's J-Mo. All right, the defense is Hutch, it's Aleem, it's freaking Alex, it's TA, right? It's Kirby, it's Branch. It's now Reed. I can keep going. It's Barnes, and so that's what we are. All right, we can say, well, this is our scheme. This is what we run. This is no. They're the ones who make it what it is. So that's our playbook. Is those guys.
So in short, he said F Ben Johnson. He said F Osama Ben Johnson. He is a Benedict Arnold, and we look forward to kicking his ass twice a year. That is pretty much what he was saying. As I had planned for quite some time to be to be Dan Campbell's official anger translator, and I was gonna launch a series of videos, just kind of going over his sound bites and translating them. But I never did that at the other place that I was at. I didn't think that over there they would understand the humor in it. I knew they wouldn't understand the reference, so I just didn't do it. So maybe during the off season, because this is the off season and we don't have a lot to talk about. That's why we talked about the owners' meetings for 3 days, because we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. If y'all want to see that, let me know. But I still don't know. Let me know in the chat if you guys were able to hear that sound, because I don't know if you could or not. And if you can hear it, then that means that next time I play the audios, I don't have to try to put them in the window capture and put them on screen and stuff. I'm gonna see if I can find that question for you, Zach J. Hold on, I'm listening to that 2830. It sounded like it's something about practice. Um, yeah, it was hard to hear because one guy started asking the question and then the other guy, yeah, I would have to put it like my um into my video editor and just like strip the background noise. So let me see if I can get it one more time. Something that it sounded like practice and lockers or something. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, the question is crazy. I could not hear it. All right, guys. Do we have any mailbag questions? Before I go, because I gotta get back out to work, my guys. So any mailbag questions, let me know. If not, um, I will head out and I will see you guys on Friday. All right, going once, going twice. Sold. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out, guys. Appreciate you for coming through, hanging out, stopping by. Appreciate your insights and your questions and all the things that you do in the chat. So of course, the Motor City Cats, we back at it. Came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, and we are out. Appreciate you once again. Peace.